In its last countywide revaluation, New Hanover County property values climbed an average of 67% higher than 4 years earlier. And that's not a typo. Some homeowners opened that notice and about fell out of their chairs. So does that mean everyone is packing up and leaving Wilmington? No, but there are real reasons why buyers and sellers may be second guessing this move, and you deserve to hear them before you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and move here. Hi, I'm Kimberly Crouch with eXp Realty. I moved to this coast myself. I live right near Wrightsville Beach, and I sell in every area I'm going to talk about today. This video is not about talking you out of moving here. I love it here. It's that you deserve the whole picture before you commit. I'm covering the 5 real reasons people end up leaving Wilmington. Then I'll tell you what it means if you're buying right now and exactly where sellers stand in this market today. So why people actually leave Wilmington? Every year, plenty of people move here, about 12,000 over the last year alone. And every year, some pack up and go somewhere else. That's true of pretty much any growing coastal city. So when someone tells you everyone is leaving Wilmington, that's not accurate. What's actually happening is that a handful of specific issues are making some buyers rethink their plans. If you're moving here from out of state, you just deserve to know about these reasons before you sign anything. If the things I'm about to walk you through don't bother you, Wilmington is a great place to buy. And if they do bother you, it's better to know now than after the moving truck shows up. There's a misconception I hear from a lot of relocation buyers. They think that if a place is growing fast, something must be wrong underneath it. That's not usually how it works. Charleston went through this same stretch. So did Myrtle Beach. Fast-growing coastal markets almost always hit a point where taxes catch up, insurance catches up, and then the roads have to catch up with all the new rooftops. That's a growth adjustment, not something unique to this one area. Reason one is affordability. If you've been watching this market for more than a year, you already know prices haven't slowed down. According to Cape Fear Realtors MLS data, the median sale price across the Wilmington Metro hit $430,000 as of July 2026. That's up 7.5% from about $400,000 a year earlier. And this happened even though buyers had over 4,500 active listings to choose from. A lot of people assume more homes on the market means cheaper homes. That's just not what's happening here. Back in 2025, the Metro saw just over 12,000 home sales with a median price around $412,000 at year end. Prices are forecast to climb another 3 to 5% this year. New construction in Brunswick County and homes near UNCW used to be a reliable way in around $300,000 to $400,000. Now they're pushing toward the top of that range and above. First-time buyers feel this the most because the entry point keeps moving up on them. And it's not just the sale price. Your tax bill and your insurance bill stack right on top of that number every single year. New Hanover County ran its countywide revaluation, and on average, values came in 67% higher than the last time the county measured 4 years earlier. That's from the county assessor's office. I've had clients call me confused because they assume a bigger number on the notice automatically means a bigger tax bill. It doesn't always work that way, but it's easy to see why people panic. Here's how it actually played out. When the county built its roughly $481 million budget for this year, a 2-cent tax increase was on the table. That's about $120 a year on a $600,000 home. In the end, the commissioners adopted the budget and kept the property tax rate unchanged. So the revaluation reset what your home is worth on paper, but the rate itself didn't go up this cycle. Insurance is the other piece. Beach area zip codes across New Hanover, Brunswick, and Pender counties are seeing homeowners insurance jump about 16% one year and another 15.9% the next, a 2-year total of nearly 32%, and more than double the statewide average of about 7.5% a year. That came out of the 2025 settlement the state insurance commissioner negotiated with the NC Rate Bureau. Flood insurance is a separate cost on top of that. It averages around $925 a year, according to Insurify, though that number swings a lot depending on your flood zone. An X zone means your lender doesn't require flood insurance at all. It's optional. An AE or VE zone means it's required if you're financing. And under the newer FEMA pricing system, 2 houses on the same street can pay very different premiums based on elevation and distance to the water. So please don't let any of this scare you off the coast. None of these areas is a bad place to buy. Taxes and insurance are just real line items you need in your budget from day one, same as your mortgage mortgage payment. The other misconception is that there are deals sitting out there waiting because active listings have jumped from 2,189 in July 2023 to 4,554 as of July 2026. And average days on market has climbed from 46 to 72 days over that same stretch. And yes, buyers are pickier and more patient than they were 3 years ago. But inventory in a lot of pockets is still relatively tight. And these are the averages. The homes you see sitting are usually the ones that aren't priced right for their condition and location. The ones that are priced right, you barely see them because they sell quickly. And some pockets have nearly doubled in value in the last 6 to 10 years. So that's not sellers being greedy, that's just the market. When it moves that fast, it's genuinely hard for buyers to digest. Reason 2, growth and lifestyle changes. So the next reason isn't about money at all. It's about how this place feels now compared to 5 or 10 years ago. Wilmington's retail vacancy rate sat at just 1.4% in the first quarter of 2026, according to CoStar data reported by Wilmington Biz. That's below the 5-year average of 1.8% and the 10-year average of 2.2%. In plain terms, almost every storefront in this town has a tenant. That's a sign of a really strong local economy. It also means that traffic, more competition for a table at your favorite restaurant, and longer waits at intersections that used to be quiet. There's one honest exception worth mentioning though about this. The old Kmart building on South College Road has sat empty since 2017. Almost no activity on the property in the 9 years since, according to Star News. So some buildings do sit empty here. Vacancy is just the exception now, not the rule. I also hear this next one a lot from people who end up leaving. They want to be closer to family, or the people they're closest to have settled somewhere else, or they want to be closer to friends and they'd rather spend their time with those people than with the beach view. Now that's not a Wilmington problem. That's just something that comes up at certain stages of life, no matter where you live. So the real shift here is a growth adjustment. If you moved here for the slower small town feel of a decade ago, that feel has changed. If you want more restaurants, more options, and a busy local economy, that same growth works in your favor. Reason 3, job market. So why do some people leave even when the numbers on paper look good? Wilmington's unemployment rate sat at 3.4% in May 2026, according to USA Facts. One of the lowest rates of any metro its size in the country. On paper, it's a strong job market. And for a lot of people, it's exactly why they stay. But a low unemployment rate doesn't mean every industry is here the way it was in a bigger city. If you worked in a large tech hub or a niche specialized field, those openings can be harder to find in a metro this size. Some people move here first and figure the job piece out later with remote work or a career change. Others decide the trade-off isn't right for them. And there's a pay piece I want to be really clear about here with you too. Wages in a metro this size tend to run below what you'd earn for the same job in a major city. For years, that was offset by a much lower cost of living here. But as you just heard, housing, taxes, and insurance have all climbed. So the math depends entirely on where your income is coming from. If you're bringing a big city salary with you through remote work, your money goes a lot further here. If you're planning to find work locally, build your budget around local pay scales, not what you were making before you got here, because it may have shifted. So don't read this as the job market being weak, because it isn't. The type of job you're after matters as much as the overall numbers. Affordability, how this area feels day to day, and even the job market all come down to the same thing. Which specific pocket of the coast you're looking at, not the metro-wide average. Guess wrong, and you could end up over budget on taxes and insurance, or in an area that doesn't match the pace of life you wanted, and you might find yourself moving again 2 years later. Now, that's the whole reason I built this neighborhood match quiz. It takes about 3 minutes, asks a few questions about your budget and how you actually want to live, and points you to the communities that fit. Click the link below the video to take it, and the results will be emailed directly to your inbox. Reason number 4, the weather. The next reason is less about spreadsheets and more about how it feels to live here day to day. Summers on this coast are hot and humid. If you're coming from somewhere with a milder summer, that's a real adjustment. Winters here are mild for the East Coast, but they're not non-existent. We get cold, damp stretches, sometimes even snow and freezes in January and February, and that can catch some snowbirds off guard. None of this is a reason to avoid the coast. Just go experience it before you buy. If you can visit visit in both July and January, not only during that one perfect week in September and October when everyone falls in love with this place. That will help give you the real year-round perspective. Reason number 5, infrastructure. And this last one ties right back into the growth we talked about, because the busier this area gets, the more the roads have to keep up. Every day, thousands of cars cross a bridge that's older than a lot of the people driving over it. That's the Cape Fear Memorial Bridge, the main artery connecting downtown Wilmington to the Brunswick County side. According to WECT, a proposed replacement would be 6 lanes wide with clearance for large cargo ships. It could cost more than $1 billion with a toll on the table. A state review panel recently rejected a private company's unsolicited $1 billion toll proposal, so the funding path is still being sorted out. Here's the deadline that really matters. NCDOT needs the project shovel-ready by September 2027 to keep a $242 million federal grant, according to Port City Daily. So let me be straight with you, none of this is locked in yet. It's funded intent, not a finished plan. What it means in real life is potentially years of construction on one of the busiest commute routes in the region. If you don't cross that bridge daily, this barely touches your life. Now, Hampstead is another spot where the roads are still catching up with the growth. The whole town runs long and narrow right along Highway 17. So nearly everyone is funneling onto that one road to get anywhere. It can really back up at rush hour. The good news is the fix is already underway. NCDOT is building the US 17 Hampstead bypass to route through traffic around the town, and it's on track to be finished around 2030. Now, let me put all of this in perspective because it matters. Even on its worst day, traffic here is nothing like a major metro. These road projects are real and they're worth planning your commute around, but it's all relative. Buyer advice. If you're buying right now, the single most useful thing I can tell you is this: forget the metro-wide averages. This market moves at completely different speeds depending on where you're standing, and those averages can hide it. Start with the tightest pocket, roughly the 5 miles around Wrightsville Beach. Anything with water views, water access, or a quick walk to the sand is still very much a seller's market here. Inventory is thin, the appropriately priced listings move fast, and if you walk in expecting room to negotiate and plenty of time to think it over, you'll lose the house to someone who came ready. If this is where your heart is, get pre-approved now or have your cash in order, know your number going in, and be prepared to move on an offer within days. Widen out to Wilmington as a whole, and it's more balanced. You have more choices, buyers are pickier and more patient than they were a couple years ago, and a well-priced home in good condition still sells while an overpriced one can sit. Then head across the river to Leland or up to Castlehane, and the math changes again. This is where a lot of the new construction and the extra inventory is right now. More homes to choose from usually means more negotiating room, but a big chunk of it is builder inventory. So you're often working with a builder's sales office instead of a resale seller. The list price itself may not budge, but you can often get closing costs, upgrades, or an interest rate buy down instead. It's just a different kind of negotiation than a resale, so it helps to understand how builder pricing works before you make your offer, and also how their contracts work. None of these is the right answer. They just move at completely different speeds, and your offer strategy has to match the one you're actually shopping. Walk into the Wrightsville pocket expecting Leland's negotiating room, and you'll be disappointed. The reverse is true too. Rush an offer in an area that's giving you room to breathe, and you can leave money on the table. Seller advice. Now, if you're selling, here's exactly where the market sits right now. Cape Fear Realtors MLS data shows the market has shifted to a more balanced position for the region as a whole. Average days on market was 72 in July 2026, up 5.8% from a year earlier. That's not a crash. It's a market that's cooled off from the frenzy of a couple years ago. Pricing correctly on day one matters more than it did back then. And here's the number to pay attention to. The current sale to original list price ratio sits at 95.3% as of July 2026. If your home sits past 30 days with no serious offers, that's usually the price, not buyers disappearing. Inventory is also up 3% year over year, sitting at 4,554 active listings as of July 2026. So you have more competition than you've had in a while while. The homes still standing out are the fully updated move-in ready ones, plus anything with close proximity to Wrightsville Beach, water views, and water access. Today's buyers have options. They're comparing your house against 3 or 4 others in the same price range, and the first 2 weeks on the market are the ones that matter the most. Homes that get a price cut after sitting too long rarely win back the interest they had on day one. They usually settle for less than if they'd priced it right from the start. So the advice is simple. Price it right the first time, make sure it shows well and looks well maintained, and don't assume last year's conditions still apply. They probably don't. Everything we just covered, from days on market to pricing to picking the right stretch of coast for you, comes down to one thing. This market moves differently street by street. Price a listing wrong right now and it sits for months while buyers wonder what's wrong with it. Buy in the wrong pocket for you without tracking traffic flows and drive times to the beaches and shops and restaurants, and you wind up frustrated with your day-to-day life. That's why I'm here, to help you figure out what's actually right for you. If you're thinking about a move to coastal North Carolina, or you're ready to list your home, call or text me at 910-218-8187. The number's below. Tell me your target price range and what your goals are, what you're looking for, and I'll tell you exactly what's happening in that specific pocket of the market right now. I'm Kimberly Crouch with eXp Realty, your coastal relocation specialist, offering you authentic coastal luxury at every price point.